What's up, guys? Welcome to Daily Dose of Reddit. This is your host, Zach, and today's subreddit is r/FatPeopleStories. This story's called, My Gym Teacher Was a Ham Planet. You read that right. The person my school hired to teach health and fitness to children was about as unhealthy and unfit as they come. It made about as much sense as hiring an alcoholic for a bartender. For the sake of this post, let's call her Coach Ham Planet, or Coach Harry Potter for short. From the first day I had her in middle school PE, Coach Ham Planet, Harry Potter, Hewlett-Packard, rubbed us the wrong way. CPS? She looked around 45 years old, at least 300 pounds, and had the physique of a mushroom. Long, stubby legs with an oversized top. Her demeanor was generally friendly, and she did some of the stretching sections with us, as best as her body would allow. For the most part, though, Coach Ham Planet would make the kids do all the exercising while she didn't do a thing. Even as a kid, I found it pretty hypocritical that she'd bark at us to run faster and work harder while she sat on her fat ass all day. As if it wasn't bad enough, Coach Ham Planet was just as apathetic when students got hurt during games and exercise, and was terrible at handling bullying. I blacked out for a minute or so during a game of bombardment, similar to dodgeball, and the most Coach Ham Planet did was call timeout and did nothing when another kid hit me in the face with a ball to wake me up. Another time, a bully was repeatedly whispering insults at me. I ignored him in silence, but he wouldn't let up.
Hey, P, you're such a loser. This is why you don't have any friends. Nobody likes you.
Finally, I shouted, "Shut up!" Coach Ham Planet turned to me and shouted,
Excuse me, OP. You did not say that in my class.
I tried explaining myself, but Coach Ham Planet demanded I apologize for saying shut up, while showing less than a fraction of the same outrage toward real bullying. Coach Ham Planet was so lazy she couldn't even bother to look out for students outside of exercise. I told my mom about Coach Ham Planet, and she also thought it was ridiculous that someone that fat was our coach. She can't even run down the stairs if the school was on fire. My parents also sent an angry email to the principal about the bullying. I put up with Coach Ham Planet for another year or so until I moved to a different school. The cherry on top was that this school was designed specifically for special needs kids. I have Asperger's and ADHD. The negligence and abuse from teachers and bullies got so bad that the whole school eventually shut down due to too many parents pulling their kids out. Okay, first of all, it's not uncommon for PE teachers to not participate in the exercises because why would you? Like, you gotta think about it. They don't just have one class. They have multiple gym classes. So if they're just exercising all day, well, they'd be too hot. And so we can't have students have gym teachers that are too hot. That just make things difficult. Or not. It might have the opposite effect because you want to impress the hot people. But anyway, my point is, it's not uncommon for, gym teachers to be fat and kind of just not give a crap about doing the exercises with you. Because again, it doesn't matter. I did have one gym teacher. He was fit, and he even didn't do the exercises all the time. He did them sometimes, like if he needed to show us an example or something. But for the most part, he'd just chill and walk around and just watch. But I will say this, that teacher was definitely not good, especially given the freaking context of this being like a special needs school. You gotta have patience. You gotta be caring when dealing with kids that have special needs. Alright, this story's called Ham Colleague is Fat Because of Her Feet. I finally have my own fat people story to tell. Yay? I actually wouldn't care about her if she wasn't so full of herself. I met a colleague at my new job. I was very surprised, as in my country, it's not usual to see someone that big. I actually have no idea at all how much she must weigh. She threw a tantrum to get in my office because there is a huge window, and with her issues in Brovid, she needs it. I was a bit upset, but don't care. So manager tells us we would share it. When she's here, she takes it. When she works at home, I take it. She broke the new office chair we use. She is too fat to sit in it, but insists anyway. I can't imagine how bad it can feel, but she threw another tantrum about the chair being ridiculously bad quality. I lost weight recently, and my other colleagues told me it was impressive. Of course, whale colleague was upset and had to tell us that she was fat because 25 years ago, she hurt her feet with a forklift. I must admit, I'm pretty suspicious because I worked in a hospital with people that literally lost both their legs and were in awesome health and doing a lot of sports. She also insists every day how healthy she eats because she eats only natural food. She only buys from farmer markets and in Whole Food shops. Doubt it, as she told me a story about processed cheese she ate and gave her diarrhea. Yes, her stories are very appetizing. I told her that fresh cream from farm tastes awesome, but it's still cream with fat and must be eaten with caution. But no, it's not fat, it's natural, of course. It happens that one of my colleagues is married to a farmer. He makes awesome cheese, and we can buy it from her. Also, when an animal has to be killed, she asks us if we want meat. I'm talking about 10 kilograms of meat, around 20 pounds, I think. And you can fresh eat what you want, but most of it has to be frozen or it will be lost. Feet hurt colleague bought one. She ate the whole thing in 1 week, but it's from the farm, so it's not fat, right? Also on lunch break, I saw what she really eats. She asked me what I was eating. I swear, she only talks about food. It was a bit of a depressing meal because I had nothing left in my fridge and packed it last minute, so only lettuce and a yogurt. She reacted,
"Oh, my meal is worse. I'm going to only eat leftovers. At least you have a yogurt."
She then started to eat her food, which was barbecue sausages for 4 people. I really mean it. I think there were 12 sausages in her box, with a huge plate of pasta drowned in cream and cheese. I was shocked. Even at my biggest, and when craving fat food, I couldn't eat all of this. It actually made me nauseous to watch. Now I avoid eating with her because I don't feel comfortable. The worst thing is that she feels superior and always talks down to me. Not in a directly mean way. I don't know how to describe it. A mix between passive-aggressive and know-it-all. Also, nothing is her fault, etc., etc. Fat logic behavior to the max. But I actually felt bad for feeling this way about her. I thought maybe I'm reacting like this because she is fat and I'm being fat-phobic. But at the same time, her behavior is awful. And one day, my colleague who sells the cheese and meat talked to me about her. She was uneasy because she didn't want to be mean, but told me almost everything I wrote here. So I'm not crazy if someone else feels the same. She told me she also avoided her. Whale colleague literally harasses her with messages and calls about the meat and cheese every day. First thing she asks in the morning is,
"Do you have meat to sell today?"
She told me another story. It was the last day for an apprentice and she brought cakes to celebrate. She told everyone to meet during morning break to eat together and say goodbye. But there were incidents in the morning so people couldn't meet. So at lunch break, everyone decided to not eat lunch but eat all of those awesome cakes. There were a lot, enough for everyone and with leftovers. And Whale colleague was upset. She threw another tantrum yelling that she needs her food or she would pass out because she would lack energy. So she took her food, microwaved it, and went to eat alone in a corner of the room while everyone else was embarrassed but tried to ignore her and wished good luck to the apprentice. In the afternoon, Cheese colleague saw Whale colleague eating 1 whole cake alone in her office. It was a I don't French, okay? If you know what that is. Literally butter cake. No normal human is able to eat a whole that's French. Alone. She was surprised that Cheese colleague saw her in the act, and she spat it everywhere. Cheese colleague was disgusted, but didn't think much about it as there was still a lot of work to do. At the end of the day, apprentice told everyone to take the leftovers they want. But where are the cakes? I'll let you guess. That was long. Sorry. I'm sure I'll have more to tell about her though. Wow. That is an embarrassing, I don't know. I just feel incredibly embarrassed for Whale colleague. This story's called The Russian Bear. So this is a story I have touched on elsewhere, but I finally decided to share it here. So in the summer of 2018, I picked up a job at a lawn maintenance company. We laid down fertilizers, sprayed pesticides, and some of us aerated and seeded lawns. Obviously, this was a pretty physical job, and all the guys that worked there were pretty athletic, save for one. There was this guy that worked there who was adopted from Russia when he was like 3. I knew this because he seemed to mention it at least weekly. For the sake of simplicity, he'll be called Sakio. Sakio was a big guy, and he was only 20 as well. I first met him when my new boss took me to give a tour of the shop. Sakio had bought himself a cigar to celebrate them hiring me, and he lit this with a shrink wrap gun. Already, I could tell he wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed, but I decided to give him the benefit of the doubt. I passed the pesticide application exams in one go, so I was out on the lawns pretty quickly. So I fortunately never worked with him. As the season went on, his laziness began to show. He was hired as the shop mechanic, even though he never worked on any of the machines or vehicles. He would also take an ungodly amount of time off for no reason, but the biggest kicker was the food. Occasionally, our boss would buy us breakfast on days where it was storming in the morning or if we worked on Saturdays. Normally, people got one of the cheaper options, but Sakio regularly ordered an 8-ounce steak and eggs for breakfast, along with cheese for the eggs and hash browns. He would complain if anyone told him to order less, and we eventually stopped going to breakfast unless he wasn't coming in, although he would still complain. Besides these breakfasts, he would regularly stop for 2 to 4 meals during the day. To be fair, there were days where he worked close to 14 hours, so sometimes stopping for a light meal in the afternoon was a necessity. But this was every day. He would clock in and then head out to get a dozen Krispy Kreme donuts to eat, do a house if you wanted to, stop again for lunch, do 2 more houses, and then just leave for the day. If it was a long day, he'd stop for a 3rd or 4th meal in the afternoon and evening. One thing he apparently liked to order were 2 Baconators, 2 large Frosties, 2 chili bowls, large chili cheese fries, and a large Dr. Pepper from Wendy's. Despite the fact that he was such a terrible employee, the company decided to not fire him because a little work was apparently better than no work. They put him with a new hire who was a pothead. He made the pothead do all the work while he drove around. Eventually, the pothead began making Sakio work, even though Sakio complained to him about getting lonely when seeding lawns and would try to find any excuse to get out of work. Things came to a head at the company meeting where he ordered an appetizer for himself along with about $35 worth of alcoholic beverages on top of a $45 plate. This irked the head investor of the company, and Sakio was in hot water soon afterwards. After 2 weeks, he was asked to show up to the office or else he would be fired. He chose not to show up and was fired. He said the company was being unfair to him, even though our head salesman spoke to his mom, who said that this was nothing new with him, and that he had always had trouble holding down a job because of similar issues. He left to work at a buddy's billboard installation company, which lasted less than a week. He then began texting people at our company asking for his job back. The head investor made the decision to hire him back, although he lasted 5 days before he quit. He was complaining about the AC in his van, which was my van, not working. The boss told him to deal with it like I had been, and he quit right in the middle of the day. Last I heard, he was still begging the company for his job back, while simultaneously saying he has a better job. He is a bartender and regularly invites the pothead to watch him eat hot dogs. The pothead is also his weed dealer, and he told me that he regularly pays more than asked for weed. Man, that guy needs to, I don't know, step it up or hit rock bottom so that he can, be like, oh shoot, I should probably not be so bad at life. Alright, this story's called 4 Weeks Dating a Fat Guy. Doesn't work for multiple reasons, and he blamed it on me being out of his league. Connected really well with an unattractive, short, fat guy. I myself dress well, work out, and am attractive. I should have noticed the red shining flags of his realization that I was like a trophy to him, and that I was kind of uncomfortable bringing him around people because most of them looked from me to him and back again. But he made it a point to bring me everywhere so he could show off his fit, pretty date. Backstory, his ex was Godzilla compared to me, and he knew it. I tried to talk to him about fitness and encourage him and let him know that I put a lot of effort into being healthy and maybe we could do that together. His reaction?
You called me fat. That isn't nice.
To make me feel guilty. Well, dude, you are. His mom even gently tried to encourage him to wear clothes that fit him. He was in denial about gaining weight, so wore skin-tight shirts that you could see his belly when he raised his hands. But he would continue saying,
"Why does she keep buying these? I've never been this big."
Now, this is the first fat person I have ever dated. Have I dated studs? Mostly. But I've also dated men who weren't Hollywood lookers because of their confidence, humor, and personality. That'll seal the deal for me every time. Not only was this guy fat and insecure, but had no personality, zero confidence, whose lack thereof was projected onto me, and a kind of sucking, mirroring personality, if you know what I mean. Never again will I date someone if I can't get over their physical appearance. You don't need a six-pack, but I just could not be sold on the extra weight. To the point where, yes, cringe, I didn't even know what he looked like naked because I knew if I looked, I would be super repulsed. He thought the light stayed off because I was insecure, but little does he know it was because of him. It was a learning process for me. I learned that fat people, not just mine, but from reading your stories, have a stigma about their own fatness. It projects onto their personality, and to make up for their insecurities, they try and make you insecure to drag you down with them. I ended it nicely enough in person. His response?
"I know it's because I'm fat and ugly and you're beautiful and can get anyone. I've seen the pictures of your exes, but it's okay that you think I'm fat and ugly now, because we aren't dating and can be friends."
No. Thank you. Toodaloo. It's nice that you're not shallow. But... yeah, obviously, just not being shallow isn't enough to keep that relationship going. In fact, I'm not insecure. In fact, I am pretty confident, so, you know, if... I'm kidding. Unless I'm not. Anyway, don't act like that. Even if you do think you are probably unattractive, it doesn't mean crap to a lot of people. As if you've got a pleasant enough personality, it's gonna make it so that what you got going on is desirable. You gotta keep that in mind. Obviously, you should do your best to look nice, smell nice, and not be gross. But even just doing that and having a nice personality will get you so far. Because no relationship is happy when it's just all about how hot you are. I mean, then again, who knows? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.